Oh, and welcome back to the Rugby Connection podcast, the only podcast for all the ins and outs in the rugby world. Well, this is jam packed, so buckle up because we're in for a long ride. We have Premiership, we have URC, we have Autumn Nations squads, we've got Autumn Nations predictions. So I've called in some help. Good old friend Andy. How you getting on, mate?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm good, yeah. So much rugby. I did not realise there was this much.
Almost too much rugby. I mean, I'd never say that,
Oh,
obviously, but
oh.
almost.
It feels like it's too much, but then when you probably break it down, it's probably not that much. I don't know. That's strange. Anyway, where would you like to start? Would you like to do Prem or would you like to do the URC?
Um, let's start with the Prem.
Prem? Okay. Friday Night Lights. Bristol Bears really pushing for the top four this season, beating the defending champions, Northampton Saints, 31-23. On the Saturday, very high scoring day indeed. Gloucester getting a big win over Newcastle, 36 points to 7. Bath just absolutely ragdolling Sale Sharks, 40 points to 13. Leicester Tigers, great game of the weekend in my eyes.
Yeah, definitely.
Beating Saracens at the Stone X, 32 points to 29. And I am hating this season, but it's okay. My beloved Exeter Chiefs are now 0 for 6 because the Quins won 36-19. Outstanding.
Yeah, yeah. It's so after the first six games, I'd
Yes.
say a lot of people would have had Bath in and around the top, right? No
Oh, yeah.
surprises there.
Mm.
But Tigers and Bristol definitely doing some pretty special early running. Saris again,
Mm.
I think a lot of people would have had around the top four. They've looked good. Pretty big for Gloucester being sixth at this point, I think. I mean, I know there's not many points between them and the couple of teams below them, but for Gloucester to finish the first batch of games ahead of Saints and Sale and Chiefs, they'll be pleased with that.
Absolutely.
And look, we won't dwell too much on Chiefs. I know it's painful for you, but at least they're not bottom.
I honestly, by the way, I would be so annoyed if I was a Newcastle fan at that. Just comes down to bonus points. I don't even know what's going on. Like, I know that a win is going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
surely.
Yeah.
I just don't see where. It's really hard right now.
I think the break will be a big help, right? Like
Hopefully.
we saw what Bristol did with the Six Nations break last year. Like
Mm.
if you haven't got tons of players away on international duty, it is a big help. Um,
Mm.
gives you a chance to regroup. There's clearly some stuff going wrong with the defense, right? Like they need to revisit the defense. Like Quinn's ripped them to shreds, and that's a Quinn's without Smith, or I did think Jared Evans had a really good game, but yeah, I think you always think you can't go from being, because last season Chiefs were great, right? Great run in Europe, close enough to the playoffs in the end, just ran out of steam at the end of the season. You don't go
Yeah.
from being a side that's that good to being a winless side. It's not, the players don't suddenly get worse overnight. Like something's going wrong with the system. There's something wrong with the way they're set up. So they should have time to figure that out. But I mean, the question is like 18 points off the playoffs with the way the teams at the top are playing. Is this a recoverable season for them at all? It is only 6 games in, but
It's tricky because there's the top four are just really flying high at the moment.
yeah.
So
I mean, there's only it's only 18 games in the season, so it's
we really need to go for it, go strong.
yeah, they'll have to go on a mad winning run if they want to get themselves in the hunt at all. Who's so
Um,
at this stage in the season, looking at the table now,
mhm,
so like I think my top four I predicted at the start of the season was Bath,
mhm.
Saris, Sale, Saints. Not looking good for Sale.
Oh, my top four is completely wrong.
Who did you
I
have?
had Bath. I had
Yeah,
Bath, which is great. I also had Saints. I had Quins, and silly me, back in my team to high end, I had Chiefs
yeah,
in my
of
top
course. Okay. Well, if you were going to make the prediction today, based on what we've
four.
seen so far for the end of the season, what would you say? What changes would you make?
um, Bristol would be top four. Probably. So Saracens will probably squeak in, like, but I
Mm.
can't decide. I can't decide between Quins and Tigers.
I think. looking at the teams outside of the top four, I thought Sale were going to do big things this year because they were so good towards the end of last season, and like
Yeah.
maybe they'll pull it together towards the end of the season again. But realistically, at the moment, Quins and Saints look like they maybe have it in them for a challenge.
Mm.
Like if Saints, honestly, something again is going on with the defense, but if they can sort that out over the November break, like their attack looks amazing again this year. Like they could easily go on a run, I think, and
That's
get
good.
themselves up there.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not all doom and gloom for the defence because Henry Pollock, the young under 20,
Oh,
22 tackles against the Bears on
how
Friday night.
good, how good were him and Pearson in that game? Like,
Sensational.
oh, mate,
Love it.
absolute class.
But yeah, to be fair, just off this first block, I can see Gloucester pushing teams a lot. They've done really well.
Yeah, they just concede too many tries, I think, to put like a really big run together. I mean, maybe they'll prove me wrong. I would love it. But it's as competitive as the league's been for a while, which is awesome.
It's what I needed, absolutely.
Let's just hope Chiefs can cheer you up after the internationals.
I'm actually so glad on both fronts that this block's finished.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we'll just go into it now. The URC.
Power into the URC. Okay.
We're into the URC. 2 games on the Friday nights. We had Bulls narrowing win over Benetton 17-15.
My heart broke for Benetton.
Yeah.
I thought they played so well. But the Bulls, that killer instinct, it's what you need.
It's what they needed, absolutely, to end that. Yeah. Scarlets getting a big win over Zebra, 30 points to 8. Scarlets are just having a lot of fun that first block, but we'll get into it in a little bit more. Saturday
Max Page, was it? The try where he stepped like 2 guys? Yeah, brilliant. Someone told me in the car, I didn't realize he's only 18 or he's only 19. He's really young. I hadn't realized. Brilliant stuff.
Freakish.
Yeah.
Freakish. On to the Saturday. Glasgow Warriors getting a big bonus point win over the Stormers down in Stellenbosch, not Cape Town, as I nearly got that wrong there. But great game for the Warriors, doing really well as defending champions. My beloved Edinburgh got beat by Ospreys 22-13, and I'm not saying this because we got beat. This was just a really boring game.
It did. I didn't watch it live, but the highlights, there wasn't a lot going on in the highlights.
There was a referee decision that just took out one of the Edinburgh's big players completely, and it was a farce that it was even a decision. So I thought you knew. Sorry. So
no. Talk me through.
So there was a high ball. Duhan van der Merwe was going for it. You can see the whole time his eyes are on the ball. He is not looking at what's in front of him. He knocks the referee. Now, this happens at least once a weekend. The referee's in the wrong position.
Yeah.
Sorry, lads, that's on me. I'll just reward that team with a scrum and we'll just reset and we'll just move on. No, that's what normally happens. This referee decided to blow his whistle, almost looked like he was about to card Duhan. He gave Ospreys a penalty because he felt Duhan deliberately pushed him.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, you're joking me. And basically, every decision after that went against Edinburgh, and you never seen Duhan van der Merwe in the game again. He never got the ball. It's almost like he was like, I can't get involved in this game now.
I will say, that is one of the most bizarre things about watching Edinburgh, is that they don't really give Duhan the ball.
No.
Like,
it's strange as hell. I think it was actually the Stormers game where we won very comfortably. Duhan standing on the sideline, essentially, for 5-6 minutes, and the forwards would turn up. I'm like, there is no one marking him. just big looping pass. Even if it bounces funny,
the
defenders are still going to have to track across. And by that point, Duhan's already in like 3rd year.
He's good in those positions. Like, he scores tries for Scotland in those positions. You know, broken play is definitely his friend. But like, I don't understand why he isn't. Like, you know how Faye Waboso plays for England and Exeter? Like he's
Yeah.
often, or Caleb Clark with the All Blacks, often first receiver. They'll often use him to crash it up. Means you've
Yeah.
still got all your forwards available. You can secure and you can go to the next phase. Like I don't understand why they don't use him more like that.
I don't know. And see all these reports that he's apparently going to La Rochelle or Montpellier or somewhere in top 14.
Oh, really?
I'm kind of now at the stage. Go for it. They'll use you properly. You're a big lad on the wing.
Yeah, yeah. There'll be no lack of contact in the top 14, that's for sure.
It's a very fun asset to have as a
Yeah.
man that size, that fast. Use them. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's a different story for a different day. Sharks going 2 for 2. Big win over Munster, 41-24. But I feel like this is the strongest you'll get the Sharks this year. And then they'll probably slide off again.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
You think they're going to keep going?
Yeah, I think there'll be a massive gap between their home form and their away form because they won't always bring all the big names and all that kind of thing. But like, they'll finish top 8, and they will be a nightmare for anyone in the playoffs because when it comes down to the playoffs, they'll have everybody in the team, and you know, I think when they're at home, they'll go out and they'll blitz you the first 20 minutes and they'll try and just win the game before it's even started. Like Munster just chasing from what was it, 10 minutes or something? They were two scores down. But yeah, back end of the season, I would not want to have to play. And the thing is, because their away form isn't going to be great, I reckon they'll be low down in the top 8. And like the Sharks at home is not a reward if they're bringing Khaleesi and Mapimpi and Grant Williams and yeah, they've got so much class.
It has a stacked roster. But just use it. I get that player welfare and players need rest and all that, but just use them. At least sprinkle some of the teams out with some Springboks. That'd be nice as well. But
yeah, I'm sure they're under strict orders.
Leinster, perfect block, 6 for 6.
Yep.
Beating the Lions 24-6. Yeah, it was good. R.A. Snyman just really hurting Munster fans at this point.
Must be. I think Leinster. God, you never want to make because we always seem to lose. But this looks like I think the structure of the season suits them this year.
Yeah,
because it's not truncated. There's no World Cup. There's more time, but also the fact that they've been playing really strong teams from the start. Like I think what's kind of obvious about the URC is if you want to compete in it, you've got to try and open up a big gap at the top by the time you get to the business end of the Champions Cup so that you can afford to play a few weaker teams and it doesn't necessarily matter that you're dropping points. So it's great to see them off to the start that they're off to. Deserved. They've been playing really well.
I'm not in that position. We have to go full whack out every week.
I'll tell you what, man. It's seriously competitive this year. Like,
that's great.
That's brilliant to see teams taking wins off each other. You know, it's exactly. And like the Lions are absolutely flying. A couple of away wins for them. It's great to see. Stormers though. I was just reading down the list. Stormers and Munster, to be fair.
It's a strange one, yeah. I want to know what's going on. We talked about it last week for Munster that Graham Roundtree came out and went like, "No, we're coming out of this."
Yeah. Oh, it's tough though. It's tough. Like,
yeah. Do you know who has impressed me actually this first block for the URC? Cardiff.
Yeah.
Big comeback win against Ulster the week.
They've done that twice now. They did it against the Scarlets as well.
Yeah.
There's like, the attack is looking sharp. There's definitely something there.
Absolutely. Scarlets, from when Scarlets get going, they're quite fun to watch so far.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, it's just a more consistent thing. Obviously, Glasgow Warriors right in that mix at the top of the table. Just
Glasgow always going to be there or thereabouts. Very, very good team.
7 points from the South African tour. Yeah, fair play. Well deserved. Yeah. Unreal. And like any good international team, you need a spine, and that spine will be Glasgow Warriors.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's hard to argue.
It's working so well for, like, I love the way they play as well. Like the way they are open to opportunities, but at the same time, the way they're able to control play and keep the ball. Like, you know, Stormers away, they were the better team for 80 minutes. Like whatever about, there were a few. It was a crazy game at times. Like it took them half an hour for anyone to score any points. And that whole half an hour just felt like it was end to end. Like I don't know how there weren't tries in that opening half an hour.
You could even hear it in commentary. They were just like, "What is going on?
What's happening?" It was great to watch though.
Great advert for the game. Yeah, Glasgow doing well. Lions are obviously doing really well. Lions had a good start to the season. Cardiff have impressed me. Stormers and Munster. They might be glad that there's a break now.
Oh, I think so.
It's not a break for us though, because international teams are back.
Yes, they are. I'm so excited for this.
Before we go into the predictions for the weekend's games, we did have squad announcements between the last time me and Andy spoke. Well, spoke on camera anyway. And as both our beloved teams, Ireland and Scotland, named their squads. Looking at the Ireland team, nothing really surprising. Really, there's no shocks, I don't think.
No, I'd say no shocks. What are the big headlines? We've got a bit of an issue at hooker, it looks like.
Yeah.
Omani being out also opens really interesting possibilities, because in the second test against South Africa in the summer, they played Byrne at 6. It worked really, really well. It means that you can start Ryan alongside McCarthy. And because Byrne has such a big engine, you can take Ryan off on the hour or on 50 minutes and you shift Byrne into the second row, and then you can bring on Baird or, I mean, I wonder if we'll see Izuchukwu at some point.
Yeah. I'm excited by this now.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff they can do, and it's because Jack Conan is injured as well. And I think most people would agree that if you're going with 5 forwards on the bench, you have Baird to cover second row and back row, and then you have Conan as well, because Conan can play across the back row. But with him missing as well, they're going to have to try some new combinations. So maybe we'll see Nick Timoney. Andy Farrell definitely seems to rate him.
Yeah, you read my mind there. I was going to say, does Nick Timoney just stroll in right there?
I think he does. It's going to be interesting because that's a problem they have to work out. I wonder, in the coaches' minds, like I think Crowley is the starting 10, but I wonder how much Frawley has gained on him with what happened over the summer and with how he's looked for Leinster. I wonder if they have any view on that, especially because Munster aren't playing that well. So that's an interesting one.
I'm very excited for the battle of 10.
Yeah.
I'm loving that Caelan Doris is captain. That just makes sense. It's just the right choice.
I think he showed it in South Africa.
There's obviously a name that's returned, and it's the question of, do you start him just because of the form he's in? Jacob Bill.
Yeah. He might make the bench, maybe, but Mac Hansen's back as well. So
yeah, got to love Mac.
Yeah, I just think with Stockdale, he's not like a Farrell winger, not super comfortable stepping in at first receiver. He's much more of like a finisher and like a racehorse. And when he pins his ears back, like you're not going to catch him. He's great under the high ball. I think we'll see him in one of the games because he brings there's a reason that even though his form wasn't brilliant over the last couple of years, that he's stuck around in the Ireland picture. And it's because he brings something completely different. Like Ireland don't really have an absolute out and out pace merchant in that back line at the moment. Like having someone like that, acclimatized to the team and ready to play makes a big difference. So I hope we see some minutes for him.
I'd like to see it. I'd want to see, this might sound quite cliche, but anyone that's in an international team, I'd like to see at least get one run out.
Yeah. But it'll be interesting actually who they go for on the wings. Is Hansen going to get right back in? Because Calvin Nash has been brilliant. I think Lowe always starts. And who they go with in the centre. Because
I was just about to say, because I'm looking at the centres, there's some tasty options that
there are some very tasty options in there.
You could chop and change it. You can give Jamie Osborne the nod at 12. You can obviously. I still think
Aki and Ringrose is their best combination.
Yeah. Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. You've got Bundy Aki, Robbie Henshaw, Jamie Osborne, but he's more utility. You've got Stuart McCloskey and you've got Gary Ringrose.
Speaking of Bodiaki, a lot of talk that he's talking to Toulon at the moment. His central contract runs out in 26, I think.
Right.
He's getting older. He's probably not going to make the next World Cup. I would say we've got to start potentially thinking about life beyond Aki, because if he has 100% earned a big money move to France, if that's what he wants to do,
Absolutely,
give
yeah.
him an absolute hero send off. We'll be forever grateful. But if that's the case, I wonder when, because he is our most physical ball carrier. He's our most dominant ball carrier in the centers. So it's like, I wonder how you start looking at life beyond. It's an interesting one. I hope he plays against New Zealand, though.
He has to, surely.
Yeah.
Surely you're going like as full whack as you can for the All Blacks.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
I'm not even gonna lie. I'm super jealous that you're getting to go to that, and I'm not.
I did try for you, Murray. I'm sorry.
I've tried so hard. I seen pictures got announced. I seen 2 Friday Night Lights. I was like, perfect. I can go over to Dublin. I can watch the rugby with you or my mates from Ireland as well. And then come home.
The Aviva is as tough as it gets.
And then come home. I think even like the perfect one would have been next weekend for Ireland All Blacks, because it was a Friday night and Scotland aren't playing until the Sunday, so I could come home.
You could get back.
Spend time with the kids and then go to the rugby. There was another one, I think it was Argentina, and it would have been like the Friday, so like a double header weekend.
Yeah.
That fell through as well. I will get to Dublin at some point.
The best laid plans.
But speaking of Scotland, Gregor Townsend named a 45-man squad. To be fair, we have got 4 tests. Technically 5 if you're including the Scotland A game versus Chile. I'm very happy with the squad. 5 uncapped players. The big one for me, not name-wise, just how massive a call-up this is. Freddie Douglas, back rower, 19 years old, hasn't played any minutes for the first team for Edinburgh, but was sensational for the under-20s over the summer in the World Trophy, which we won very comfortably. He is, for those that don't watch Scotland under-20s, the best way I can compare him is he will turn over like Jamie Ritchie, he will run like Jack Dempsey, and he will bounce you like Hamish Watson. He is 9 and he's 19. It's awesome to watch.
How likely do you think it is that you see him in? Because you've sort of got 2 big games and then 2 where, no disrespect to the opposition, but where you think you can experiment a little bit more, right?
I kind of did a video on where do I see the 5 getting the games. Masesi Tuipulotu, I fully expect he's going to start against Fiji, because it's been rumoured for a year that they want Masesi and Sione. Captain Sione, might I add.
Captain Sione is right.
They want them playing together. There you go. Do it the first chance you get, just get them playing together. And then you can get that meme out of the way. But I do think he'll probably start against Portugal, and then he's big enough, and from what I've seen at Edinburgh, he is good enough to push for the bench for the Wallabies and Springboks games.
Okay.
Freddie Douglas is, like I've just mentioned, I love him, but he's very young. He's very inexperienced, just even at the club level. Maybe get him, realistically, have him come off against Portugal for his debut, and it's not, again, no disrespect to Portugal, it's not a massive game.
Yeah.
You can almost afford to make a mistake or 2. And it doesn't tarnish your career. I imagine he's going to get a full hit out for the A's against Chile. I mean, he is good enough to be on that bench. I just can't see it. Ben Muncaster, I'm so glad he's in that team. What a start of the season he's had for Edinburgh. Again, he's going to be starting for Fiji. Against Fiji, sorry. He's going to be starting against Portugal. And again, he's good enough, he's big enough, he's versatile enough that you could have, especially if you're going against Box and you're doing a 6-2 split, you could easily have Ben Muncaster in the 21 jersey. And
what's success then for Scotland? Is it 3 wins from 4 and then see what happens with South Africa?
See, I think in my head we can go 4-4.
Well,
Truly.
you can. It's possible.
A good autumn that I'll be happy with would be 3 wins and a very like
Oh,
wait
hang on, mate. Sorry.
you push.
Unscheduled interruption.
It's all good. I'll pause. Yeah, so
So 3 from 4, but you fancy a crack at the box.
yeah, go for it. Put the world on notice, but 3 wins and like you push the box, I'll be fine with that.
Yeah.
If you win 3 games and then get absolutely smashed by the box, that's not really a good autumn. Considering
If you beat the box, would you care at all that if you lost another game? Like, let's say you beat
no,
the box and then they went experimental against Australia and they lost that match.
Portugal could beat us if we beat the box. I don't care. No, it's good. I'm excited. There's a lot of fresh talent in there. There's no Gray brothers at all.
Yeah.
Richie's obviously away to Japan, and I believe the season starts like now. I could be wrong.
In Japan.
In Japan, yeah, I'm not
Okay.
entirely sure.
Yeah, mate, I have no idea.
Johnny is just back from a long-term injury. He's carving it up in Bordeaux. I would think he's just trying to settle himself back into the game.
I would think so too.
And we'll see him come Six Nations, but who knows?
I know Tooney wasn't very happy, but like players do have to prioritize themselves at the end of the day.
I spoke to you about it. That like, I see it from both sides. That
yeah,
you want the best team available, but again, if you've been out, like he was out for 15 months.
It's a long time.
And the fact he's already put in Ironman shifts. He's already played 80 minutes multiple times for Bordeaux.
And what age is he?
Oh, I don't know. I'll double check the now. I will double check the now. I don't know. I think he's mid-30s. No,
so maybe
he's 30. Bang on the money. 30.
Bang on 30. Okay. It's not like the next World Cup is out of the question. If he stays in good health, he could go.
Exactly.
I thought he was older than that.
No, he's a younger brother.
Yeah, I thought even being the younger brother, he was older than that. They've been
okay.
around. It feels like they've been around forever, you know?
They have, yeah. over 70 caps each. Yeah.
Fair play. Good genes in that family.
Absolutely. Obviously the biggest omission from the general public is there is no Johnny Matthews.
Yes.
Now, this is a strange one, right? I believe that there is a bigger reason that he's not. I don't know what the reason is. I can't pinpoint it, but there is obviously something he is doing or not doing that is stopping him from doing it. Because he was in the Scotland team in the Six Nations, but he never got picked.
I had people getting in touch with me saying that there was a time where he made himself unavailable for selection.
I've heard
that Townsend has never let go of, but nobody seems to be able to say when that was.
So
just there's a grudge.
There's a few things circling now. I've heard that what you've just said. We don't know when, but he did say I can't.
Yeah.
There was an incident apparently at the Rugby World Cup last year that involved Dave Cherry.
Oh.
People think he might have been involved in that.
Did he fall down the stairs or something, Dave Cherry, and hurt his ankle? Is that the one? Is that the incident?
Fall.
Yeah. oh, I see.
Yeah, so there's rumors that he might have been involved in that. And
okay.
There was a rumor that he's just flat out said no, he wants to rest, which I think's a load of shit, really.
There has to be something bigger because he's too good to not get a shake. You know?
I was discussing with my mate Dan. He was saying he doesn't want it to be favoritism, and I had to nip that in the bud because it can't be favoritism because Paddy Harrison is only 20 years old. Dylan Richardson, until the summer tests, wasn't capped by Scotland in 3 years. He wasn't even thought of.
If you can make the bench for the Sharks as a hooker, you should be in the picture.
Oh yeah, he's there now, but it's one of them ones that like the whole favoritism thing. Hashman's really the only one that kind of would point towards favouritism because Harrison's only 20 years old and got his debut in the summer, and Dylan Richardson, until the summer, was last capped when he was a flanker in 2021. So he was never like in the World Cup picture of that.
Yeah.
But overall, I'm very happy. It's a good team. There's a lot of options you could do. I'm really happy to see Rory Hutchinson in. Since he's been carving up at the. It's just where do you put him?
Yeah, that's the problem.
Because obviously Sione Tuipulotu, captain.
He plays every game that he's fit. Like, there's no way around that.
Doesn't have to play Portugal. You could easily
change. True.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're Hutchinson, you want to get a crack at a big game.
I think he can push Hugh Jones. It's just a matter of because
he doesn't give you the same thing though, does he?
No, it's very different. But you would have to, for that to work, you would need to have Sione at 13.
Yeah.
Which is fine because he can
do
that.
They need to explore what they do when Sione gets injured though. Because during the Six Nations, when he got injured, what game did he get injured in? The one before it was before the Italy game. Yeah, because Redpath came on and was very good in the England game. But in the Italy game, they just looked a bit rudderless, right? They look lacking in a bit of leadership and a bit of steel, and that's what he brings you, along with everything else.
Who I think would be a good option to probably try test the waters about a bit more this autumn, especially if Sione does get hurt, touch wood, because you don't want it to happen, would be Stafford McDowell.
Yeah, he played at the Aviva the last game of the Six Nations last season. I was there, and especially in that first half, he was brutal in defence. He's a big lad. He can hit hard.
Yeah, and he's worked side by side with Sione. He's worked side by side with Hugh Jones. He's captained Glasgow Warriors in the past. Yeah,
listen, he's a player.
Yes, absolutely. But I'm excited. But shall we do some predictions? Because we do have.
Let's do it.
Just the 2 games this weekend, but they are massive games, and it is the start of the Autumn Nations series. We have the trilogy match to begin with. We have England versus the All Blacks. What a start to the Autumn Nations series!
I know.
It's
great, isn't it?
and it's technically outside of the international window, but it doesn't affect either country. So,
yeah.
I really don't know what to expect from this game.
I'm with you there. Like,
yes, the All Blacks won the series 2-0 in the summer.
It was close though.
England pushed them really close, and since that series, obviously we've not seen England, but the All Blacks form's kind of been mixed.
Yeah, but they've played though. I do feel like that's a big advantage.
I know.
They had a game last week. They had the whole rugby championship. Like, I do. The one thing you'd worry about England is that maybe, because especially some of the important combinations have changed. Like, there'll be no Mitchell.
Oh, shit,
so you wonder, like, will they come in a little bit undercooked? Just, will things be ever so slightly different? That's the only worry for England.
I mean, people were moaning about the All Blacks game at the weekend. Like, half of them looked lost. I'm like, use 164-19. I don't think it matters if you looked lost. Ruben Love got 2 tries off the bench.
I saw that, yeah.
Peter Wakai got capped. Damon McKenzie had a great turnover. I don't know if you've seen it, but Damon
I've just seen some highlights.
Done a great try-saving tackle, hit the boy that hard that the ball went loose and he managed to jack over it. I was like, this is what we love. Billy Proctor was great. Yeah, there's talent there. It's just
none of them play against England, to be fair.
I don't think.
McKenzie will. McKenzie will, yeah. But that guy, like, I remember they put 2 or 3, not 2 or 3, 3 or 4 senior players in the starting lineup, didn't they?
Yeah. It was a very fresh looking side. Very heavy pack though.
Yeah, but does the fact that like Tuipulotu and Dari playing, presumably that tells you that it'll be Barrett and Vai for the England match. Tuipulotu probably off the bench, right? Like, Satiti at 8 was an interesting one. What's their back row? It's going to be Satiti 6, Kane 7, RD 8, right? That looked like what they settled on in the Rugby Championship.
I imagine so.
Scrum half is interesting. What do you think the power rankings are there? Because like you can read. So obviously they played Roygaard because he needs the test minutes, right? And they had Perinara off the bench, and you could read that Ratima's out of the picture, or that they were saving Ratima for the England game because he's going to start in the England game, and maybe they'll spring Roygaard or Perinara from the bench.
Yeah. Oh,
hard for me to believe that Perinara is not involved. So I feel like that's one of the slots, and that's probably off the bench. So do they start Ratima or Roygaard? Or do they go for the two young lads? But if you go for the two young lads, why is Perinara there if not for exactly this sort of game?
You're making a lot of good points, and I'm trying to think. I would start. Fuck, I've not thought about this. You swung on me all at once.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Like
I would start Ratima and probably have the experience of Perinara off the bench.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Roygaard won't get a shot in the autumn. There is games for him.
Oh, that's the thing. They've got the what do you call it? The big tour, right? England, Ireland, France. Like they're playing everybody.
And Ireland, France, Italy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they've had Japan. So even if he just comes off the bench against, well, again, I don't know.
I think probably Ratima Perinara. I think New Zealand will go out and they'll try and win the game in the first 20 minutes. Like I think you'll see like a really big start from New Zealand.
Really aggressive start, yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, to be fair, I just think
Will Jordan, Kel Clark.
Yeah. That's the way the game's going, to be fair. Like it's so hard to chase games. It's so hard to make comebacks at test level. I think everybody's like, you know what? Full leather in that opening 20 minutes.
Go for it, yeah.
And then it's one of those, if you can survive it, a lot of the time you've expended so much energy surviving it that then when you get on top, it's difficult to do anything with the ball. But it's such a hard one to call this one because like the basic maths is New Zealand narrowly beat England in the summer down in New Zealand. So you come back up to England where New Zealand have the travel in their legs and England have the crowd and all that kind of stuff. You'd back them to get a narrow win, but it is New Zealand. And maybe England are a bit under. I do think Mitchell's a big miss.
Yeah.
They
had a lot of chopping and changing during the week.
Yeah. Slade being back is a big one for them because whoever they picked instead would have basically no experience leading that rush defense, right? It's basically just been him. So they do need him back.
So I had my England team penciled in. I didn't have Slade starting just because you played one game.
Yeah,
I understand.
I think he has to though.
I understand how important Slade is, but it's just one of them. Like you've played one game. Is that enough to merit? I don't know.
Who'd you pick instead? Is the question, right? Like who comes in?
Probably Lozowski. Just out of form, and he's got the kicking duties as well.
Yeah, but at that point, like, well, he's not going to kick, number one, right? Smith's going to kick, and it's nothing against Lozowski, but he's been playing. He hasn't been with England in 4 years, something like that.
It has been a while, yeah.
And you hear every time you hear players talk about like the jump from club rugby to test rugby, they're like it's huge, the quality gap, and I think you'd rather go with someone at least who has a lot of test experience. It's bad for Lozowski because in a normal world you would just pick the form guy, right? And he clearly is the form guy, but
or do you just go really nuts with it and not have either, and have like Tommy Freeman in the 13 with like Slyholm on the wing?
It's a big risk against one of the best counter-attacking teams in the world.
It is, yeah, but risks pay off sometimes.
Sometimes. I'll tell you what. Watching a lot of Quins, as I always do, and I know I have a bit of bias, but that Oscar Beard, I can see why they brought him into camp to have a look at him. He has defense leading 13 written all over him.
Like, Right,
He
speaking
could
of
definitely step into that role in the future.
100%. Speaking of Quins and England, Will Greenwood is like pushing for Northmore to start against the All Blacks.
I mean, also a really good player.
Hmm.
I would
So
say
then
like,
we have like Northmore, Lawrence.
oh, yeah, that's what you'd have. But time in the seat is what I'll always go back to. Like
Hmm.
Slade is one of those players I think who can come in and turn it on. Certainly for one
Oh,
game.
yeah.
Northmore was in the squad in the summer. I don't think he played at all down in New Zealand.
Did he come off? No, he didn't play against New Zealand. I was thinking, did he come
No,
off against like Japan or something?
he might have. Yeah, he might have, but he definitely hasn't played for England much.
No.
And do you bring him in and do you risk it in that game against the All Blacks, which is going to define England's autumn, you know? Like if they lose this first game,
Who else does England have? Fiji and Australia. Is that it?
they've got South Africa as well, haven't they?
Oh, I don't know. I can't remember if they've got three or four.
Yeah, they've got South Africa third. So they've got New Zealand, Australia, South Africa.
Oh,
Oh my God, so many great games. That day, by the way, that Saturday,
go on.
your starter is Scotland against Portugal, you know, for a bit of light fun. There'll be brilliant,
But
brilliant tries. That'll be a
that
great
was
one to
something.
watch. Then you've got England, South Africa, and then you've
Mm.
got France against New Zealand. Back to back to back. What a
This is what
day.
we love. This is
What
the
a
best
day.
thing. This is the best thing of year. People
And
get
by the
excited.
way, the night before is Ireland, Argentina.
Oh yes, all weekend. People get
Jesus,
excited,
that's amazing.
and yet people get excited about pumpkin spice lattes at this time of year. No, this is what you get excited for this time of year.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
that's going to be brilliant.
I don't know where to think on this England All Blacks. It's going to be great. It's going to be must see.
Will we force ourselves to make a prediction?
I'll go on then. I'll let you go first. I'll put you in the hot seat first. Just
Okay.
because it's
I'm going to say, I actually think New Zealand are going to do them.
Oh, yeah, I was about to. There you go.
I think it'll be close enough.
Uh,
I
yeah,
just, yeah, I just think they're going to be sharper.
I think the bit that's going to scare me, and not just for this game, just for the All Blacks, people are already like shitting on Scott Robertson. I'm
Yeah.
like, have you ever thought that it's not an instant fix? That this is a slow burn. So
But
once
also, mate, like they lost to 2 games away from home. Look, the Argentina game was a bit of a Argentina surprised everyone in the
yeah,
Rugby Championship. They did it to everybody.
absolutely, yeah.
Other than that, New Zealand went and lost 2 games away to the world champions by what? Combined like 6 points or 8 points or something like that. Like they were right in the hunt in both games. The first one, they definitely should have won that game. Like they threw that game away. Like just because they're not going out and beating everybody, people act like there's a big crisis.
It's just this weird mentality, and obviously, like I don't know, I'm not from a successful rugby nation. I'm from a passionate rugby nation. That's very different. But like I've not like our team isn't built on success and back-to-back World Cups and the greatest of all times and all that. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't know the pressure. I've heard about this a few times that like when the Lions went to New Zealand, Warren Gatland apparently told half the team, like, by the way, when you walk down the street and some like random like postman says that you're shit, he knows more than you'll ever know. I'm like, right, well, that's not like that over here.
Yeah, no, not at all. People just
So
aren't interested.
I don't understand the pressure, or I understand the pressure of the All Blacks job, but I also don't because we don't live in New Zealand. We don't know how much.
Mate, it hurts their economy when the All Blacks lose. There's like a measurable impact.
There you go. But I do think it's a slow burn. I don't think it's an instant fix with Razor. I think it's going to be a slow burn. And you know what? See when it starts cooking? Good luck stopping them.
I suspect by the end of November, what you'll see is the gap between the top 4 in the rankings and everyone else
All right, yeah, right, okay.
Yeah. No, I think the top four, France are always a bit of an unknown quantity. So like, you never really. But with Dupont back, they should be up to like peak France again. And their squad is exciting. Lot of interesting selections in there. I think you'll see those four. The gap between them probably has shrunk. Like they're all pretty much on a level. I think anyone can beat anyone on their day. And then I think the gap to the next step of teams, like the rest.
So like 5 to 10 can't catch 1 to 4.
Not necessarily can't catch, but I just think if you look at the teams who would be tempted or attempting to break into that top four, England and Argentina are probably the two biggest nations there, like in terms of history, and in terms of current form. So Argentina, yes, they can do a job on you. Can they consistently beat the top teams yet? Probably not, right? Felipe's only just in the job. Like it's going to take a little bit of time before his ideas fully bed in. And then with England, it's like over the last year, they've looked like they've been threatening to take that next step, but that big result that you can build it around hasn't come yet.
They've had a lot of chopping and changing with the coaching staff.
They have. And like if they come through November and they lose to New Zealand and South Africa, then, you know, that gap is going to be evident. But if they can pull off a win, all of a sudden you can catapult yourself. You know, that's all it takes.
Yeah, you only need that one win. Actually, just speaking of, like, I think when the fixtures got announced, this was kind of like a sleeper fixture, but based off what's happened, especially over the summer.
Yeah.
Ireland, Argentina.
Oh, huge. They're playing France as well. Also massive. Like
that's all series decider as well. I remember you saying that.
Yeah. And like just the way Contepomi masterminded a result against everyone in the rugby championship. You know, yes, they didn't beat a full strength South Africa team. You know, the New Zealand game, they rode their luck, but like there's something building there with that Argentina team. Like they used to be like a banana skin in November. You think of them as like they're a good team, but you should beat them at home. You know, they obviously always turn it up in World Cups, but in regular season games, you'd always expect to win. But
yeah,
I don't know about that anymore.
Really fun. Anyway, we forgot to do a prediction. Scotland, Fiji.
I mean Scotland, but it'll be one of those like it'll be high score. Both teams will score a lot, I think. Okay. Because it's not going to be Scotland's first team. So
I'm really confused with this. To my knowledge, it's out with the international window. That's why there's only the two fixtures this weekend.
Yeah.
So that means it's Glasgow, Edinburgh versus the Drua.
Versus the Drua, yeah.
Yeah, basically what I've heard from other rules that there's like no Prem players allowed for either team.
Okay.
So no Finn Russell, no Rory Hutchinson, no Josh Bayliss for Scotland, no Naya Kalevu, no Tui Sui for Fiji. But then again, are the French-based players allowed? So like, are we allowed to see Tui Sova? Because if not, it is just Edinburgh and Glasgow take on the Fijian Drua.
Well, I hope that's what it is, because if that's what it is, I think it'll be a bit chaotic and there'll be a lot of points and it'll be great. Good. It'll be great fun. So I'll say Scotland by. Oh God, it's so hard to know.
That's so tricky.
It's Scotland by a couple of scores, though. I don't think it'll be like a one-score game. I think Scotland will win, 2-3 scores maybe.
I think I had Scotland by 20.
Yeah, I mean that sits within it. I'd say 15 maybe.
Yeah, 15, 20. Something like in that points margin. But international rugby's back.
It's exciting.
It's exciting. And so next week, it's just the two games, really. And an in-depth look on the England All Blacks game, Scotland, Fiji, and then more of a preview, for who's the games next week? Ireland All Blacks.
Friday night is Ireland the All Blacks. And then on Saturday, you've got England, Australia, Italy, Argentina, and France, Japan. So not blockbusters, but a good chance for the bigger nations to flex the muscle. Well, like Italy, Argentina should be brilliant. I'm really looking forward to.
And then you've got Scotland, South Africa on the Sunday.
Yeah. Oh, geez, really? Oh my God! And Wales, Fiji as well. Wow.
Oh, this is what I mean.
This is gonna be amazing next weekend.
People that get excited about pumpkin spice lattes and leaves falling off the trees. No, this is what you get excited for when it comes to the autumn time.
I think by pure luck, without even realizing it, I am flying during France-Japan, which is probably, if you had to miss a game.
That would be that one, yeah. That's
Oh, no, I'm flying. No, I'll be back in time for Italy, Argentina.
Oh, that's fine. There you go. Okay. But yeah, that's been more of a review episode.
Yeah.
Because the block's done. Did a bigger dive into the first week's All Nations series, and then next week it is full go. And then try to think what the episode is going to be like in 2 weeks' time. Talking about all those.
Probably 2 hours.
Great.
Maybe you can do a part one. Maybe you can do a part 1 and part 2.
Yeah. Me, you, Ella, get all the United Nations in here. It would be unreal. But we'll try and plan that. We'll try and get all the Avengers at once.
Yeah, see what we can do.
Be good. But Andy, always an absolute pleasure, mate.
Oh, mate, same here. I'm just so excited. You've got me. You've got me in the best possible. The last 5 minutes have got me in the best possible mood. It's amazing.
Oh, good. Yeah. There's gonna be a lot of content coming out, so stay tuned.
Yeah, we better get busy.
Yeah, takes me to my next thing. Please follow Andy on TikTok. He's one of the kings. He's a social media mogul. He really is.
Well, that's very kind of you to say. Please follow my Instagram, where I'm less of a social media mogul.
Yes. Instagram's always a bit of a dud. The ratio doesn't make any sense. But anyway, yeah, go and follow Andy. He is at Rugby Nose on both Instagram and TikTok.
_Rugby Nose on Instagram.
He is
someone else. Someone else has the handle, so I just had to pick. Yeah, but the account isn't like, they're not posting. They're not active.
Worst.
Look, what are you gonna do?
The Rugby Nose gives you a bit more ego, so I like it.
Yeah.
And if you like what I do, please give me a follow on Instagram and TikTok as well. I am at Bliss for Rugby, because we smashed the 10,000.
Yes, since the last time we talked, we beat 10K.
Yeah. That's mental then. That's went up by about 300 since we last spoke then. That's Thank you to everyone. Yeah, we'll be back next week. We've got England All Blacks, Scotland, Fiji, and then a deep dive into the very juicy fixtures the following week.
Yeah,
I cannot wait for it.
Exciting stuff.
But hit the subscribe button, get the notification bell ringing, because who wouldn't want to miss content like this? We're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok. Rugby Connection Podcast. Follow, like, share, subscribe. Message us, I don't know. Yeah, do something. Make it more interesting. Anyway, Andy, it's always a pleasure.
Yeah, you too, mate.
I'll see you next time.